Welcome to the Build a Mind podcast. I'm Joel Thomas.
Kalen Folk.
And our first order of business today, before we get into another excellent episode here, we have the NAPE conference coming up this week here in Houston. That's February 18th through the 20th. Please come stop by our booth at Bitcoin Mining World and say hi. Kalen, you're going to be there, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come stop on by, man. You guys looking for sites, looking for miners, looking to see how to turn natural gas sites into a Bitcoin mine? We've got you covered. Come on by.
Well, you definitely want to come hang out with Kalen. He's a good hang, and lots you can nerd out about and have a lot of fun. So today, the Build a Mine podcast is brought to you by investmentsim.com. Before you buy miners or sign a hosting deal, run your numbers at mininginvestmentsim.com. It's a mining investment simulator that helps you see how sensitive your outcome is to assumptions like power, uptime, and network conditions. That's mininginvestmentsim.com. And the Build a Mine podcast is also brought to you by powerprofitbtc.com. If you control excess or stranded energy, you're wondering if Bitcoin mining actually fits, go run the tools at powerprofitbtc.com. It's built to help you sanity check economics and feasibility before you spend some real money. That's powerprofitbtc.com. And also, I want to give a shout out to our excellent Telegram groups. You want to flash those wonderful links up on the stream. We've got some really, really great Telegram groups at Bitcoin Mining World. And if you want to learn more and see what's going on in the industry and, find the best deals, you definitely want to hit those and check that stuff out. So without further ado, we have a really, really cool guest doing some really interesting and amazing things. So I'm going to welcome on the guest our friend here who goes by the name Printer. Printer.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Did we lose your video? You were here a second ago.
Looks like we might have.
I mean, these things happen. So
it does.
I'm sorry.
I mean, it's cool if you want to be a totally anonymous black square on the screen. That kind of adds to the mystique. But we can.
Where's the logo? We'll throw out your logo on it.
Yeah, there we go. We just keep rolling, with it. So, Printer, man, why don't you tell us about yourself and what you're doing?
Okay. Well, thanks for having me, despite the video not working. I'm a 40-year-old tech nerd from Austria. Love Bitcoin. My main business is 3D design and 3D printing, but I'm like a general tech nerd who loves everything Bitcoin and got into Bitcoin many years ago. And since 2022, I'm kind of a full-time Bitcoiner, run an online shop from Austria, selling a lot of stuff, which I don't want to show here. It's not an advertisement. Shouldn't be. But yeah, I'm fortunate enough to be able to spend most of my time in this space and build some really cool things together with some very highly intelligent people. And I'm very thankful to be able to talk about that today with you.
Yeah, man. I mean, going through your site alone, the first thing that stands out the most, of course, is just the solar bit. Before we go into kind of like all of your projects, though, like how did you get into Bitcoin? Like what led you down the Bitcoin rabbit hole, so to speak?
Shoes, actually.
Shoes.
Yes, it's a bit of a funny story. So
I hope you can find a way to mine Bitcoin while you walk. Like that sounds. I'm into that. Let's go.
Yeah, like mining is kind of the last thing I ever focused on with Bitcoin. That came very, very late. My real first contact point was my now wife, then spouse, wanted some special pair of Converse shoes, which were only available in the USA from some woman. I can only say some woman who was willing to sell them, but neither of us had any idea how to do this international transaction from Austria to the US back then. So she proposed we use Bitcoin. So I did. So I found out what that was, downloaded Electrum wallet, got some Bitcoin, a lot at the time. Like,
yeah, do you remember what year it was?
Not exactly. It must have been 2016.
Wow. Okay.
something like that. I spent all of that, so I and then didn't pay attention. But it was must have been about 0.6, 0.8, whatever would have paid for
Wow.
a pair of shoes. It was some collector's edition Converse. My wife still has them. They are worn down and torn, but she still has them, and she's my wife now. So it was all worth it.
That's amazing. You know, I think one thing I've learned doing international business, and one of the business I run is a subscription-based business, is different countries have different rules for payment processing. So for example, in Germany, there's restrictions on PayPal. But for example, if you go to England or France, you know, there's different, so it makes it really, really difficult internationally. And having done a ton of international business for over a decade, I think that's one of the things that really drew me into Bitcoin, because like if you get debanked like I have, or like they just changed some rule and in the EU for, privacy or whatever, there's all kinds of things that happen and then you got to figure it out. So it's really cool to see people finding Bitcoin as a solution. Like I said, I do a lot of business in Russia, and right now the only way to get money back and forth is through like a sketchy intermediary bank in like Georgia or Azerbaijan or something like that, or to use Bitcoin and send that back and forth. So it's really amazing to see that.
Yeah, you can see me wildly nodding now. I run an online shop, so I ship to businesses, customers in all over the world, and mainly Europe, though. And yeah, the regulations and all the compliance bullshit it's amazing, really. I've been regularly spending 8 hours of time just to file for some new compliance bullshit for PayPal. Or
you guys really hate business in the EU, don't you? I mean, your politicians really hate business. I mean, they are really.
Yes. Let me give you an example, just to blow your mind completely. When I ship to, for example, in order to Belgium or to some other EU state, when I'm doing my taxes, I have to use their tax rate, and then I have to send this part of the taxes only for this order to this specific country. And that goes for all EU countries.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine what a workload that is for like a small shop owner? It's honestly insane. And yeah, back then I wasn't doing that, but it was fascinating to see just something that you can just download from the internet and install a wallet and then, send value to anyone, really. It was absolutely fascinating to me, but back then I was literally poor as fuck. I had nothing, and so I didn't pay attention to that at all. I remember 2 years later when we had the shoes, I talked about Bitcoin next to the wife and told her, can we buy a little? And yeah, she said the only correct thing back then, with what money? So we didn't, and yeah, it took until I think 220 until I really, really got into the stuff.
You ever calculate like the future current value of the Bitcoin you spent on those shoes back in the day?
No, never. I wouldn't. Not sure how to say that in English, but these kinds of theoretizing, it just makes you sad in the first place, and it doesn't matter. I mean, that's what would Laszlo say with the 10,000 Bitcoin transaction for his 2 pizzas? I mean, that's all part of the natural price discovery of Bitcoin.
100%.
And to cite Mundrik, I wouldn't have holded it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, the moment I would have noticed that Bitcoin would have hit a few $1,000, I would have sold like most people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people forget about that or give themselves too much credit. It's like, oh, well, back in the day I had this. Well, it's like, yeah, if you think you were going to hold your $1,000 or your $100 worth of Bitcoin up to 100 million and not take any profit at 100,000, 500,000, 1 million, it's like that you're kidding yourself. It's like
exactly.
the people that had it, forgot about it, and then found it again 10 years later, they lucked out because they took out the human intervention portion of it. But yeah, there's no shot that
it definitely takes years of like, it definitely takes like, I think at least a year of studying to really enter that full maxi mindset where you're just like, I don't care what the price is in fiat. It doesn't affect me. I just want as much Bitcoin as possible. And I mean, I got into Bitcoin, I want to say in 2017. I had a programmer that was sitting behind me in my office here that was coding up for my software company. And like, he was sitting there talking about how he took all the Bitcoin that he mined back in like 2013 and he bought a BMW with it. And this was back when Bitcoin hit that first major like 19,000 cycle peak. And he's like, I'd have like $30 million if I hadn't sold it to buy a stupid car. And we were just sitting here, we were like, damn. And I'm sitting here thinking about that at like 100,000, like 100,
Yeah.
like we're not 100,000 anymore, but we were not too long ago. Price. And it's just crazy to think about. So I don't know, I guess it's part of everybody's journey. You kind of slap yourself because you start as a trader and then you realize that this is not something that you probably want to sell after a lot of studying and a lot of research. And if you become a full maxi crazy person like me, then, you don't want to own anything else and you almost sell all your possessions. So it's wild. It's really wild.
I agree. But for most people, that will take at least one cycle to reach that.
Yeah.
You're a quick learner, it seems.
Well,
Yeah.
you haven't, I'm going to quote
already?
Taylor, you have a need to know moment. And for me, it was like the rate of growth of my businesses was growing at less than the rate of currency debasement. And, I went to school for finance and I always thought like inflation was like 2 to 3% in the United States. We would say CPI, right? That's what every advisor and modeling like traditional finance person goes off of. And, I heard sailors say, oh, it's 7%. I'm like, shut up. No, it's not. And then I really went down that rabbit hole and emerged like 4 days later. And I'm like, inflation 7%. I need to rethink everything I know about money, finance, how I've been living my life for like the last 40 years. And what am I doing? So that kind of like broke everything in my brain and I restructured accordingly. And the answer then, of course, was Bitcoin. And everything else became secondary.
Right. Nice.
Anyways, rant over. So let's jump into some of this. Tell us about some of the stuff that you're making. You're making some really, really cool stuff. Like going through your website is really cool to see all of the stuff that you're making. I mean, Kaylin and I, we don't build anything. So I think we're always just like blown away. So tell us what you got going on, how you arrived there. Like, it's really impressive.
How did I arrive there? Funny story. Well, I'm a tech nerd. At some point, I thought I should stop smoking, got into vaping. And I don't know why. The stuff fascinated me to the point where I picked everything apart and wanted to build my own, which was the reason for me to get into 3D printing, which is now my main business. That was about 6 years ago, and I bought my first 3D printer. And about 2 weeks later, I was absolutely tired of printing Pikachus and whatever stuff you can find around the internet, and sat there and thought, that's not useful if you don't know how to make things to print, if you can't 3D design. So I downloaded CAD software. I've always been good at technical drawings. So I just started learning that, and it took me about a year to get half proficient, I would say. And then I just started designing and printing things and posted the seed signer case. I printed on Twitter, and instantly, like 2 guys replied, yes, I need one. So I had a small light bulb moment. Thought that would be a nice side hustle. And well, started the shop, made a few enclosures, made the most widely used seed signer enclosure in the world, I would say, at least for some time, and started offering these. And well, it grew. It grew to the point where I was able to stop doing my main fiat job. I mean, I'm earning less now, much less, and I'm working much more, but I'm also much happier. So it's quite okay. Now the basement is filled with 21 printers. Literally, I'll have to get rid of some because at some points, not using all of them. And yeah, it's kind of like living the dream. I'm building cool stuff I like, and some people buy it, and I can make a living with it. It's really nice.
Tell us a little bit more about these seed signers. Like, so for the people out there that are just getting into Bitcoin, they've taken the first step to get a hardware wallet. Why should somebody use a seed signer? Like, why is a hardware wallet not enough?
Yeah, you've opened the box now. So we'll have to start with the problem with traditional hardware wallets. The problem with traditional hardware wallets is the centralization of information. The centralization of information in the sense that when you buy from a hardware wallet manufacturer, you're going to be put on a list of customers for the tax return, on a list of newsletters, possibly, which, I mean, the most infamous incident was the Ledger incident, which you probably all know about, when Ledger leaked their entire email customer database, and people are still getting scam emails to this day. Ironically, the guy who created Seed Signer was one of these people. And he was annoyed, and that was basically how Seed Signer was born. Seed Signer is a hardware wallet, but not in the traditional sense because it doesn't save keys, and also not in the traditional sense because you can't, I mean, you can buy it now, but you can't buy it in a store. You can build it yourself from off-the-shelf components. It's just a Raspberry Pi Zero, a small camera, and a display. These electronic components have nothing to do with Bitcoin. That's the main point. They're being used in IoT, whatever, by hundreds of nerds to control their 3D printers with. It's an off-the-shelf component. It's not suspicious in any way. You can order it from Amazon and no one will know that you're trying to build a Bitcoin signing device. And well, Seed Signer will let you do what most hardware wallets do: sign transactions, manage keys, create keys, completely stateless without ever touching a computer, communicating only via QR codes. And well, this type of hardware wallet, that's right up my alley because I love to build stuff myself and I'm a paranoid fuck. I don't like to trust people. Like when I got my first hardware wallet, that was Cold Card MK2, which was back then the top of the line, everyone on the internet said. I got it and it's nice, it looks nice, it's well built, don't get me wrong. But then it offered to save this Bitcoin, the partially signed Bitcoin transaction on a micro SD card, which I should put into my computer. And I thought, that's okay for me because I know I have a clean computer. But most regular people don't. So, yeah, I like stateless and air-gapped devices. And Seed Signer was right up this alley. And back then, not a lot of 3D printed enclosures were available. So I took it upon myself to create a good one, then another one. And yeah.
They're clean, just looking at them, they look good. You can see on your site, once again, I don't know if we said it at the beginning, but his site with all of his information, his products, is going to be at the top of the description, so you guys can be kind of following through on the side with us.
I'm going to butcher the name, but it's gobrr.me. GOBRRR.me is the website.
Yes.
So it looks like you can create your own or choose your own seed with these. You have like this jar that looks like full of 3D printed pills with different letters. How is that working? So most hardware wallets, like soft wallets, browser wallets, anything like that is going to populate its own seed phrase for you. So can you actually create your own seed phrase with these?
Yes. A saying in IT and especially the hardware wallet business is never roll your own crypto. So each hardware wallet should ideally use battle-tested SecDP libraries for generating entropy and not roll their own because computers are notoriously bad at creating true randomness. So yeah, all hardware wallets will give you the option to create a seed. Some will give you many options on how to do that. Like you can roll dices, for example, 99 dice rolls. Or with this jar that you mentioned, we call it Entropia. It's basically 1,024 pills with one BIP39 seed word on each side. And well, you just dump them all in a bowl and randomly pick 11 or 23 of them and then use your seed signer or whatever other hardware wallet that can manage to do this to calculate the final word. So you have a valid seed with a valid checksum. And that's basically the most offline way to create a seed besides
really cool.
besides doing dash rolls. And it's much more fun than sitting here and throwing a dice 99 times. If you've ever done that, it's not fun.
You are correct about computers and random number generators. I remember when I was a kid, I coded up like a video game, and just doing like a 1 through 10. It's amazing how many 3s and 7s you get. You can almost see like a Pareto distribution in the way that you have to make an algorithm to make it more random, is what I'm saying. And I've talked to some of the programmers that work for me about this, and it's you're right. Like computer random number generators need a lot of work. They tend to fall into patterns. It's kind of wild to see firsthand. So I definitely resonate with what you said there.
Yeah, I mean, computers are built to be accurate. It's against their nature to not be.
Tell us a little bit more about this solar bit. I want to go ahead and dive just kind of straight in. Is this your project? Like, is this your baby from the ground up?
It is my baby, certainly. I didn't build it alone, though. I'm not an engineer. Absolutely not. I can do 3D design, but I'm not good at mechanical design, and that thing has a lot of it. I built it together with Nikos, who goes by the nickname Molon Labe VC, very spellable.
On Twitter. Send that app over to us.
Yeah, he's an engineer from London. He can't be here today. But we built this together. It was kind of his idea. He made a very weird prototype, which had a very weird design back then. At some point, he hit me up and asked me if I would be interested to create a solar tracker with him that has the ability to mine Bitcoin. I was instantly intrigued. Right. I also instantly told him that I don't think that thing will sell very well, but we did it anyway.
That's amazing.
Before you ask me about ROI, there is no ROI in this thing. It's a device for hackers and for people who love it and for people who want to play with it and want to see what's possible. And Kaylin, if you're doing big boy mining, as you said before, I'm sure you're educated about the potential of the combination of solar and Bitcoin mining in general. Obviously, on this small scale, we won't mine anything meaningful, but it was kind of more like a proof of concept. So what SolarBit does is it's a dual-axis solar tracker, mostly 3D printed, which can operate completely autonomously. That means before the sun goes up, it will position itself and turn the solar panels towards the east, waiting for the sun to come, at least on our hemisphere. Please flip everything for Australia. We just noticed that. And when the sun goes up, the light sensor will notice that there's light and will orient the panels through gearboxes, so the panels are in the perfect angle to harvest maximum sun. And then it will follow the movement of the sun all day long to maximize the energy capture over the day. And when the battery has enough juice, the automation will turn on whatever is connected. That can be a Bitcoin node, it can be a BitX, or some other small miner. 12
How much power are you getting out of it?
At the moment, like the absolute maximum is 100 watts. So it's very limited.
You know what's amazing about this, real quick? If you want to get philosophical, think about a solar powered autonomous node, right? So, if we have like I don't know, I don't want to like doomsay scenario, but like I love the fact that somebody can just literally go camping and you're in the middle of nowhere, like pick the most remote place you can think of, and boom, like the whole Bitcoin network. If you've got like Starlink, you're up, you're rocking. So
right away. I don't have Starlink at the moment, but it's certainly planned. Right now I do have a mobile 5G internet connection for that. If I wanted to, I'm rarely traveling with my solar bit, I have to say, because I mean it's 12 kilos, so you can. It is portable. I'm not sure if you've seen the YouTube video with the drone.
Not yet.
Watch it. It's cool.
Well, with it though, it's like it's cool just not even bringing it with you when you're going places, but having just stations kind of all across the globe
exactly.
set up. It's no matter what, you're not going to be able to kill it. Having something like this out in the wild is really impressive.
Yeah, we have. I think there's 13 of them out in the wild, or 12. Don't quote me exactly. We made one's pre-sale last year of 10 units. Many of them shipped to the US, surprisingly for me, but there's quite some people. One is Florida, I know that.
So I saw like on the solar bit, you're only accepting sats. Like, what are you changing the price based on? Like whatever Bitcoin's doing that day?
No, not at all. Not
Such
at
a
all.
Fiat mindset.
That was the pre-sale we did, which was hosted on my BTC Pay server, which is probably what you see since you click that button. Was really just for the pre-sale, and that was Bitcoin only. Yes, absolutely. The regular kits now with all the PCBs, do-it-yourself kits, all of that is available in my regular shop, where you can also pay with fiat if needed. So yeah, and no, we're not changing the price depending on what Bitcoin does, not at all. You'll probably see them in there for $1 million sats. Mm-hmm. If you click that link, yes, that was the sale last year when we were around 100K. So yeah, that was the price.
Okay.
Dude, this is crazy product. Like, you know how it is. Like, you hit a certain level of maximalism, and you just want to scream Bitcoin. I feel like I'm gonna go to my kid's soccer game here when it warms up and just pull up with one of these and just set it outside and just be like, "What are you doing? I'm running my node. Leave me alone."
you can even power a beer cooler through it.
Oh, wait, yeah. See, there you go.
The engineer had a solar bit with him at BTC Prague last year, sitting outside all day with the beer cooler plugged in.
That is so cool.
Sure, everyone. And yeah, Joel, to touch on that, what you said with the node, that was basically the idea for me. I always wanted to run a node in there, and I am doing it. I have 2 solar bit units in my garden. One of them has a BitX in it just for the fun of it, and the other one has a node I built from a Rock Pro 64 with an SSD. I mean, it's obviously you shouldn't run a Lightning node with that if it turns off. But as a regular Bitcoin node, it's certainly viable because it can resync when the sun comes up again if it has lost power overnight. So yeah, certainly possible.
Why would somebody not want to run it on the Lightning? Like, why would you not want to run a Lightning node in it?
When the battery is low and the solar bit turns off whatever is connected to it over the night, well, a Lightning node is a web server, which has to be always on.
Okay, so like this is for me included, but I'm guessing a lot of other people out there as well. Like are familiar with just running a regular Bitcoin node in the sense of like, yeah, if you unplug it, plug it back in, it's just going to resync. So like, is there just more manual steps for a Lightning node to get it back up and running, or is it like no?
You'd lose actual funds.
Oh wow! Okay, so
Lightning node is a totally different beast. I shouldn't have mentioned it.
Okay, no worries. No, well, you're running your own pool as well, correct?
Oh yeah. That was my Christmas holiday project.
Yeah, how does one get into running their own pool? I mean, we go to these conferences and we meet all the people that run all the major pools, and some of these people have pretty large operations that are like really impressive. Yes. And I always like hanging out with the Ocean guys. They're a lot of fun, and they've got some, they're doing their thing. So what on earth inspired you to start a pool? This is very interesting.
I'm a nerd, really. So when some part of Bitcoin starts fascinating me, I dive into it. And most of the time I get the itch to do something or set something up and try it, which was the same with Bitcoin nodes before and Lightning nodes. And at some point, well, I got into mining, and it was fun really to just find out how it all works by looking at the logs in BitX, NerdQX miners, whatever, because I really had no experience with any big miners. I just knew that they're big and loud and use a lot of energy and randomly roll numbers. That was basically all I knew. And yeah, the whole solar mining thing really got traction in the last 2 years. And when the first BitX found a solar block, it was really interesting. And back then we had Public Pool, which was hosted in the US. And we had CK Pool Solo, and we had CK Pool Solo, the EU version, which came around a bit later. And back at that time, I had the idea, hey, I have a lot of customers who run BitXs. It would be nice to offer a solar pool for them. So back then I set up Public Pool through a tutorial I found online on a VPS. And while that worked, it didn't cure the itch, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started looking at logs and looking at diff settings for different miners and did a real deep dive into there. And then I decided for myself I want to run CK Pool and not Public Pool for many reasons I won't go into now. And well, then I played with that, pulled the repo, set up a Docker container with CK Pool in it. And when I had holiday time, I started to create a web interface, because if you've ever been on the CK Pool website, it's technically a great pool, but like the dashboard is basically a white site with black text with 3 bits of information you get. That's not nice. Not very 225 or 226. So yeah,
right.
I have a bit of experience with CSS. So like it or not, that's what I made. It's available on pool.gopro.me. That's my mining pool hosted in Austria. It has a very bad ping, so you should probably not use it.
I was just going to ask you, why would somebody want to use your pool versus
you don't. You use CK Pool if you're serious about solo mining. That's just my opinion. Obviously, use the EU mirror if you're in Europe. There are a lot of other solar pools right now. Like, it's not like 2 years ago where we only have 3 options. There are hundreds of them now. But yeah, that deep dive was really interesting for me, because then I found out CK Pool obviously is optimized just for big miners, not for small BitXs, NerdQXs. So I started writing an algo I call Smart Vardiff, which is basically just an upgraded version of the regular difference variance thing that mining pools do. So it pulls in regular my English is leaving me here because
you're doing great.
Yeah, no worries, man. So going into pools more, my understanding is I don't have a good grasp on like the whole datum ocean situation, but I know a lot of solo miners are trying to like choose where they start guessing at the hash. Like there's some sort of parameters that you yourself are able to set. Did you find anything out about that doing your
I thought so too, but it's wrong, that definition. I was told the same. Like miners will suggest a difficulty, I guess that's what you mean. And I also thought that has something to do with the nonce region where they start hashing, but that's not the case. That diff is basically just a filter. So when the pool sets the difficulty for the miner, let's say to 2000, the BitX will not submit any share that it rolled that is below 2000. That's all it is. Every miner will still try all the nonce levels because it has to, because it doesn't have a system. It just blindly rolls numbers, basically.
Okay.
It tries to make it as high as possible. And the diff is basically used as a filter. So when you have a very low diff set on your pool will get much more shares, more small shares which aren't really useful, and you might DDoS your own pool.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what would, like, I guess a reason for setting a limit like that would be just to help for like a bad internet situation, having bad connection. So that way you're only sending over the good shares. You're not getting any. Do you get? So I guess you just said no, you wouldn't be getting any extra shares. It's still just rolling it constantly. I just didn't know if not having to submit so frequently would allow it to maybe hash a little bit faster.
No, I tried.
Believe
Believe me, I tried to find some secret sauce ingredient to make them, I don't know, roll a higher number. But it's just not possible. And let's be honest, if it were, the whole mining would be a total scam.
Yeah. No, so, you're correct. Yeah. Why wouldn't, like, everybody's trying to do that with their 5-10 terahash at home? Why would a giant farm not be setting those same parameters? You know?
Yes.
No, it's a great point.
It's fun to play with these things, really. So sure. to give you an example about the difficulty thing, at one point I forgot to set a standard difficulty for an S21, which was connected to my pool, so it didn't get the difficulty it needs set to about 600K for starts. It had it set to 2000, and it took about 2 minutes and the pool was down because it was just DDoSed by that one miner with all the low shares.
That's wild. It's got to be cool though to be able to control, like, see it all happening and then change the parameters and then watch it go through. I'm sure it was pretty interesting.
Yes, absolutely, but it's also scary, especially for me, since I'm a total noob in the realm of software development. But yeah,
I would imagine that. So are you putting these like you're running a storefront for home miners? Are you just buying like the completed bitaxes in bulk? Do you guys have a team that's buying, like, are you guys buying individual PCBs and then soldering on the ASIC chips yourself, or what is your guys' process like?
I'm buying them. I have to buy them. It's really, like, I can be totally upfront with that. Goldberg is just me.
Okay.
I'm doing everything myself. I'm the web admin. I'm the guy who ships. I'm the guy who does the marketing. I'm the intern who gets the blame. I am this thing, basically. My wife is helping out in times of stress, but there is no real team. So I, unfortunately, really don't have the capacity to build these things myself. I tried to solder one, and I'm quite good at soldering, but not that good.
See, I was just thinking about trying to pick it up, man. We've got some bad, like, S19 boards up at work, and it's like, man, it'd be cool just to sit there with a board reader and try and desolder the chips myself, try and just put them back on, do some swaps to see what it really all goes into it. Because, man, we'll have repair people come up on site, like Bitmain certified repair technicians. Mm-hmm. They'll bust out like 60, 70 boards a day, and they're making like $40-$50 a board. You know, some of these boards require 5 or 6 chips, which, you know, in other boards, it's all they got to do is like rerun a tracer. So basically a free repair. I'm sure it evens out to some level. I know one time that they told us that one of our boards cost $1,200 to repair, even though they were only getting $50 for it, just because it required 27 new chips. But so they say it evens out, but they're like, if there's too many of these, we like have to go. It's like, we can't just sit here and repair all of this. But I think getting into that side of the industry would be really interesting. Are you creating the enclosures yourself? Like, are these all self-designed enclosures? They look really clean.
Yes, so most of these I created myself. Some of the stuff in my store was created by other people and is then sold with permission, like the entropy thing we talked about. Mm-hmm. I always make sure to give people credit where credit is due. But yeah, for the bitaxes, most of the stuff you'll see in there was created and designed by me, sometimes inspired by some customers who specifically asked for a stand like this. And yeah.
What's the LAN kit like? Is that a creation of your own?
That's a creation of this of the same engineer who I created the solar bit with.
Cool.
The idea was when you shell out $400, $500 for a NerdQX++, that 4-chip miner, for example, and then you'll have it connected to a Wi-Fi with, I don't know, a ping of 230 milliseconds before the share even reaches your router, not even your node or something, just the router. Well, that's bad. Most of the big players have absolutely clean setups with probably symmetrical lines going there to make sure to not lose out on even 1 millisecond of ping, because they know lag is the enemy, because when shares reach the node later, that will in turn lead to less blocks, and that's money they lose.
Shares,
Obviously, for a home miner, this is less important, but some people have great Wi-Fi, don't get me wrong, they don't need that. But I don't. Like, my house is a concrete bunker, literally. So from one room to the next, the ping is about 230 milliseconds. So we thought, how could we add a LAN connection to these miners? And we found a way. And it's basically just a small adapter. You plug in between the PCB and the ESP with a ribbon cable coming out. The other end plugs into an Ethernet module. And we forked some firmware, Nikos wrote some code, tried for a few days, and now they have Ethernet.
So you said you're doing everything at your business, from marketing to customer service to design, shipping, sourcing. What are some of the challenges that you face? Because there's a lot of people watching this who probably might want to start a business or get into something like this. What's it like in the trenches every day?
Yeah, if you want to start a Bitcoin business, try to stay out of the European Union. If you can, go to Switzerland, or I don't know.
All my rich European friends that own businesses, they all live in Dubai, which is amazing. Like, I know quite a few dudes who own really cool companies. None of them are in Bitcoin, but they're all in Dubai because that's the 2% corporate tax or whatever it is over there.
Yeah, that's a different level of company those run. I have to say, with my small business, Dubai is not on the table for quite some time, I guess. And I also have to say, despite the European Union gangling us with all sorts of shit, Austria is a fucking paradise. You should be here. Like, if you're living here, you don't necessarily want to leave, especially if you were born here. You'd understand if you just be here. I can't explain it. It's just, I go out the door and I'm in nature, and it's just, well, I'm a weird mountain man, like the Bitcoin meme says, and I'd like to stay here as long as possible. But if we have at some point to pack up Uztec and leave, then we will.
So I mean, you created the solar bit living out there. Is the weather out there just perfect, ideal, like sunny days, hardly any rain?
It's a European thing that I think it's hard for Americans to understand. Like I said, I'm married to a Russian, so it's hard to explain the mindset, because the United States is very much like a melting pot of multicultural. Like, we don't really have a connect. We have a connection to like our national identity and stuff like that. But when you go to countries that have thousands of years of history, every little culture is deeply embedded, and they feel very close. Like, again, I've seen this going to Russia like the 18 times that I've been there, and just like how my wife feels about her country and her motherland. And it's hard to explain for an American because we just don't have this attachment. So I understand what he's saying.
I have to make a very important distinction here. I love my country. I despise our government.
Don't we all hate our government?
Very different things. Like, with the country, I literally mean the earth we are walking on here, the trees, the mountains, the people, yes. But everything else, the system, can go to hell, if you ask me.
I totally follow you on.
Yeah, but to answer your actual question, what are some challenges in running a Bitcoin business? Well, taxes for one place. Especially in Austria, we've had the same nice regulatory thing that when you held Bitcoin for a year and sold it later, you didn't have to pay any taxes. Germany still has that. We
They're talking
don't.
about unrealized capital gains tax in, was it Belgium or the Netherlands or
The Netherlands.
yeah? I was
Oh my
like,
God.
what the?
Yeah, that's just madness. That's
Yeah, like
absolute madness.
that's just like the most horrible.
Who's going to report that? Like, who's going to self-report that?
Everyone's just gonna leave, man. You don't want
Yeah.
to deal with that. If
Yes.
you have access and mobility, dude, anybody with any money or assets is out of there the day that gets passed. I mean, anybody, trust me. Like
Anybody with enough assets to make the rotation, yes, it will. As usual, that will gangle the little guys most.
Yeah.
yeah, geez,
Because like
that's
big
insane.
guys, they will just find another business construct where this rule doesn't apply and be fine.
Yeah, just penalizing your own people.
There's always ways to structure things. Again, you got to understand, like high net worth people, they hang out with lawyers, and lawyers are smart, and especially lawyers that deal with money and rich people. And they sit around and they're like, all right, how can I create this holding company in this country through this trust that's owned anonymously by this and this? So there's always a way to reposition the pieces on a chessboard, if that makes sense legally, that I don't want to say evades, but more optimizes your situation to be favorable to you. And, you know, there's always these loopholes that governments will leave. And, you know, it requires a lot of effort. Like we talked about this on another podcast, right? Like my IUL strategy, but dude, it gets crazy with like the international stuff. I've talked to some guys who are like internet marketers that like, it's wild just to see the things that people do to avoid, you know, totalitarian government taxes. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like in Europe here, we're watching the modern fall of Rome, and that's precisely what drove us to build that weird thing that is SolarBit, because it might look like a toy, but it's actually part of a much bigger plan. So prepare to get your minds blown.
Can you fill us in a little bit?
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah.
Give us a hint.
The engineer, Nikos, built a thing which is called BitSat. BitSat is basically a do-it-yourself version of the Blockstream satellite. So it is a repurposed TV satellite dish, which is, since we're in Europe, pointed to the Astra satellite. And this satellite also has gotten some software modifications that makes it able to transfer not only data from a Bitcoin node, like actual block data, through actual space, but also a Nostra relay integrated. And yeah, the idea is to have, once everything goes down, we'll have SATCOMs, solar power, Bitcoin node. Okay.
We're good.
Then we'll be at least fine to communicate with each other through channels you cannot stop because they're flying over our heads. Because back then, when the US military made these frequencies openly available, they thought, no regular citizen is going to have the means to even communicate with this thing. And now you can buy a bunch of parts for $200 on AliExpress. And if you know how to put them together, well, you can. Turns out you can. And so Nikos sent me the first invoice for a Lightning Network transaction through that space.
Wow.
Through that satellite. I was the one to receive it and pay it, but I have to say I didn't pay it through space because my satellite headquarters is still in development. But yeah, that's what we're doing. And that's why autonomous energy from a solar tracker is quite nice to have.
That is one of the most insane things. I mean, we've seen some cool projects on this podcast and people doing really interesting stuff. That is like, I feel like I have to sit and go to a cabin for 3 days and just deconstruct what you just said and think about it. Because in terms of like self-sovereignty and all these deep implications, wow.
True Bitcoiner.
That's bravo. It's so cool to see people just doing all the insane things that are being made. Like that's
all this credit you said just is going out to Nikos because that was his brilliant idea. Like over that year that we spent very much time together to build that solar bit. We not only got very close friends, I also had the pleasure to meet him in London and meet his family. And yeah, it was really a very educational experience for me. I learned a lot from that guy.
Sounds like a smart guy.
Let us know when we can get one, because I mean, that's cool.
Like, absolutely. You should have him on your podcast.
Yeah, big time, dude. That it sounds like an interesting guy. I'd like to hear what other stuff. I mean, if this is what he's actually taken initiative on and started, what else has he thought about? Like, what other ideas? Like going to conferences, setting up these things all around. Like, you could do some really interesting stuff, man.
It's always amazing to me, and I guess this is more of like a free market kind of thing, but like you think about governments and, and when you study economics and you go down that rabbit hole, you learn about incentives, and that if you start looking at the world through incentives, it kind of jades you, because you realize, like, what's a politician's incentive? It's to keep getting elected. It's to maintain and consolidate control. It's to, you know what I mean? So what happens is governments are always trying to get more and more tyrannical, and they're always trying to get more control and do all this nasty stuff. And it's like the market responds by creating things like that, where it's like, what is the most, if everything goes to hell in the world and we end up in some crazy situation, like, how do we preserve the one thing that can really bring true freedom, which is Bitcoin? And there's your answer. Like somebody created a satellite uplink. It's like out of the movie, what's that one that Schwarzenegger's in, what is The Running Man? You know what I'm talking about, where they like have they uplink the satellite codes and all that stuff.
Yeah, try that. I'll send you the link to the BitSat relay. You can buy some credits with Satoshis and add it to your Nostr relays, and as long as you have credits, all your Nostr posts will be sent through actual space.
Wow.
That's link that over to us so we can throw that down in the description for anybody else who's wanting to take a dive into that, because dude, that's really cool.
Wow. So we got a little bit of time left here. So one thing that I think is interesting, and I don't know if Kaylin, you're interested in this or not, but what are you doing to market your business? Because obviously you're doing some of the cooler stuff out in the space, in our opinion, out of anything that I think we've seen. How are you getting your message out there? I mean, aside from coming on podcasts like this.
At the moment, I'm guilty of doing not enough marketing. I'll openly admit that. Most of what I do is I make posts about it on Twitter and Nostr, and sometimes the Bitcoin Talk forum, but I haven't been in there for a long time. I try to come back every now and then, but it's just that forum is just not my world. I've been in marketing, like real marketing, the big quotation marks, real marketing, before I got into Bitcoin, and quite frankly, I despise it. If you've worked with Facebook and seen all their tracking, seen how detailed you can target people, like especially in the US, I mean, you can make an ad and go to Facebook and say, I want you to show this ad to women in the age of 36 to 41, and only if they've been divorced in the last 27 days.
It's
just
true.
As an example. Yeah. And that was 10 years ago. I can't imagine how bad it is now.
Mm-hmm. Well, now they have AI algorithms that automatically see. I'm big into marketing. That's what I do all day, every day. And man, it is insane the how good the AI stuff is. Before, you had to you would go into Meta and you would sit there and you'd tweak and try to figure out how to target things and retarget, and now it's like the algorithm is so good, you just can't even beat it. You just say, all right, here's how much money I want to spend, go do your thing. And it's phenomenal at how good it is at finding the exact audience that you want it to find.
Yeah.
It's only going to get better too.
It's only goes to show how much they know about the audience.
Yeah. If you're not paying, you are the product.
Yep. And if you're paying, you're mostly the product too.
Yeah, probably.
I can see how you have like. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, you're still the product. They're just getting a little extra out of you.
I could see how you definitely, I could see how marketing would be at odds, definitely with like the Bitcoin ethos. So you do a lot of organic marketing, just using like X podcasts and stuff like that.
Yes. I think in the 5 years or 4 years that I've been running the shop, I've paid for 2 ads.
Wow.
One was for Bitcoin Black Friday in the first year, and I don't even remember the second one. So I'm really not big on paying for ads.
I mean, ad spend in
maybe
Black
I should.
Friday
I
is
have no idea.
crazy, man. It can go up by 3 to 4x. It's like terrible advertising in November. It's you literally watch your ad costs and then your CPA just spikes. It's wild.
Yeah, fortunately, I have a lot of regular customers who seem to like what I do and who seem to like the service and to keep coming back. But yeah, for all potential new customers, I should probably do more. It's noted.
Well, you got a lot of hats to wear in a business. And I mean, here's the thing. I think a lot of people who've never ran a business don't understand. It's one thing to have a cool idea, right? And another thing to actually turn that cool idea into something. But what people always miss is the back end, which is supporting that idea and servicing it and making sure your customer is not pissed off because customs held it up somewhere and they got hit by some tax, or, there's always some problem to deal with.
Yes.
And it's like, hey, you didn't respond to my email I sent 30 seconds ago. What the hell? I'm going to sue you and I'm going to charge back. And you're like, whoa, hold on a second. I was sleeping. Here, let me fix this for you. It's people are crazy, man. Like,
that was so on point.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely right out of life. It's
I have sold millions and billions of dollars of stuff on the internet. I know I can tell you stories for days about people are crazy. And of course, as like the business, you're not maliciously going out trying to like defraud people. You're trying to help people and offer a cool product for a reasonable price. And when something goes wrong, obviously as a business, you want to fix it for the person, so they're not going out and saying ridiculous stuff on the internet. So I don't know. It's very stressful. I hate that part of the business.
But there's one thing I actually love in the Bitcoin community, and for some reason that's much more similar to other economies that we won't mention here, in that it's all much more reputation based. So in the Bitcoin space, once you've made yourself some name and you have a reputation for something, you can do a lot of things, but you can also fuck it up in 1 second.
It's a small
and lose
industry,
that reputation and be gone forever. And yeah, I really tried hard to build a reputation of being an honest business owner who responds to things. But as you said, like once you have reached the point that you have 7 to 15 different email addresses to manage and other channels, Discord, Telegram, Nostr, where customers try to reach you, yes, stuff goes unseen sometimes, obviously. And you can just really try to be on top of all that and make everyone happy.
How do you deal with the scheduling? I mean, do you have like kids or anything like that?
Not yet. Working on that.
Yeah,
that makes scheduling hard. Easier.
You got to balance, man, because it's like you got to go to gymnastics with your kid and drive them or whatever. I don't know, like you guys do over there in Europe, but it's wild running a business and having children. It's because you want to be there for the kids and you want to balance, and then you come home and you try to switch off your brain, but you're just always dealing with business problems. And I don't know. I think that's one of the hardest things for any business owner. One of the biggest challenges. It's like balance, just having a normal life or somewhat normal life.
Yeah, so fortunately or not, sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's rather not. My business is basically in my basement. So I'm working from home. So if there are children, I can be there. Right now, it's just the dog and the wife.
Are you able to shut your brain off, like when you're not working?
I'm never not working.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the bad part. I'm never not working.
That's what I'm talking about. My wife will be like, hey, are you thinking about work again? Be like, oh, no. And you're like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like there's always something going on. She's like, you have to turn off your phone. I'm like, what if there's an emergency?
So in our relationship, thankfully, that's not a problem because most of the time she's working too. But
that helps.
yes, I know what you mean.
That is the secret. All right. Well, maybe last question here. If you wanted to give one piece of advice to somebody thinking about mining Bitcoin today, what piece of advice would you give?
We are living in this epoch where we are still able to get 3.125 Bitcoin plus fees for a single block. And right now we are living in this time where it's still possible to mine a single block with a single device to your own node without KYC, without asking anybody for permission. Think about it. Our children and our grandchildren and their grandchildren, they might say, oh, Grandpa was a fucking idiot. He had the chance to mine a block and didn't.
It's awesome.
Hell yeah.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah. No, I mean, can't argue with that, man. Yeah. We missed our opportunity, or a lot of people missed their opportunity for the 6.25 block reward. And now that we're down here, it's like, dude, it's only getting worse. It's only getting worse. Go while you still can.
Well, hold on. The difficulty adjustment just went down 18%, or was it, or like 17 or 18%? So
yeah,
I mean, I saw a big jump in my mining.
Yeah, we all did.
We had that huge storm that came through the south when, like, what was it, 400 exahash got unplugged. My BitX best share before that was like 200 M, and then just over that night, like that winter storm weekend, it got up to 4.4 G was its best share that it was able to find when everybody unplugged. It's like literally 20 times the share. I know all it's random. It could have happened when the whole network was online, but it's like you would think that it was.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the home miners that most people don't understand. I mean, us retailers can be rational all the time. We can leave these running. The bit of electricity doesn't bother us at all. So if the big mining cartels or companies, will go down at some point, someone will be here to mine the blocks.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll eat that power rate every month. $3.
Well,
yeah,
Printer,
free energy.
I was going to say, Printer, you've been amazing. What you're doing is so inspiring to us. And, thank you for all you do and coming on here and sharing your knowledge, experience, and expertise with us. We will see you next time on the Build a Mine podcast.
We'll see you guys.
I would love that. Thank you, Joel and Kaylin, for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, 100%. Just to close things off, all of his links, everything that we've been talking about, once again, are down below. Telegram channels, we'll go ahead and throw those back up here in case you guys didn't get to them before. Pause screen, take screenshot, head over to Telegram for any repair chat help. If you're looking for any sort of ASICs, mining sites, chips, whatever you need, head over to Scott's Deals. Working on some containers, want to see what container you want, Digital Shovel, Giga, Upstream, whoever. And then if you just want to talk about miners, head over to ASIC Miner Discussion. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.